Welcome to Business Spotlight. I'm here today with Tim Davies from Projekt Rising. As you can see from the logo there on screen, I'll let Tim start by explaining what he does. Thank you for joining me, Tim. What have you been doing? What do you do? And how long have you been doing it?
I think the best place to start with that is we help companies unlock the benefit of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
How long have we been doing it as a company? We're approaching our 6th anniversary. I've been hacking computer games and playing with neural nets since the early 90s, but only really in the last, I'd say, 7 years have the capabilities of artificial intelligence begin to get really interesting. And we launched Projekt Rising, spinning out of a company called Upwork, where me and a co-founder worked, with the intention of automating project management. We did that delivering projects for pharmaceutical customers, predominantly marketing collateral type projects, using our own platform, which we developed, which had a lot of artificial intelligence and automation capabilities, but we couldn't shout about them. And last summer, one of my coaches was asking me how the business was going, and I was telling him about this ongoing challenge I have in my head of all we're doing is artificial intelligence and automation, and we can't tell anybody about it. And he said, well, you should start telling people about it then, shouldn't you? And so in the summer, we started offering artificial intelligence and automation projects as part of our portfolio. And now we're delivering pretty much 4-to-1 artificial intelligence to marketing type projects. So we're still working for the traditional pharmaceutical companies, but all of the fun stuff is for local small businesses, helping them to understand the capabilities and potential of technology as it stands now, and dripping in the capabilities of artificial intelligence so that everybody can benefit.
And what's, I mean, thinking about the frenzy recently around ChatGPT and, now Microsoft putting something into Bing, and Google are getting involved with the Bard. As this comes down into the small business enterprise, what's the biggest potential benefit that you can see in that space?
I think we've been going through a journey where artificial intelligence, early forms, were very useful for predicting outcomes. And then we've started to get a suite of generative solutions, things that can create content, be that copy, images, music, videos, that are effectively building on the capabilities that we have produced content for decades, training on that data, and then able to produce equally as good content as we've done previously. And now we're moving into a period of inventive AI, where solutions can produce completely new thinking that is beyond the scope of what we've done previously. So it's very exciting times. In terms of how it affects small businesses, effectively, data within a business is the most valuable thing that a business does now. And the ability to use that data efficiently to allow the business to move forward and solve problems that they weren't able to previously is how AI is there. So effectively, AI is a tool, and we've used tools since the beginning of our understanding of time. And now we've got a tool that is more capable than any other tool we've had before. And so we just have to imagine what the possibilities could be. It's going to be a roller coaster.
And I do remember recently reading that there was a Google engineer who got into trouble by talking about it being sentient. What do you make of that?
I think the specific technology here was a transformer model. So it's the same underlying technology as ChatGPT, as Bard, as Claude, Anthropic's chatbot. And the possibility of it becoming sentient is incredibly slim. The possibility of it convincing somebody in a conversation on a particular topic is quite plausible. I'll avoid using a swear word, but we consider the output of GPTs to be very convincing BS. They are brilliant writing, but they don't understand truth, bias. They are just hallucinating content that is appropriate for a topic. So if you go down a rabbit hole of asking a lot of questions, you might get some pretty elaborate hallucinations, but that's all they are. So with this form of technology, there is a very low chance of sentience.
Interesting. So this journey that you've been on, When you think about the various stages of it and think about the successes in that journey, what are the biggest factors, do you think, when it comes to your success?
Firstly, I'm not sure I've been successful. I think I've had a lot of fun doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And when something hasn't been fun anymore, I've jumped to a new thing. Um, I think the willingness to try and the willingness to dive deep into a subject matter
Mm.
has always done well for me. I know I'm not a particularly corporate beast, so the nearly 14 years I spent in corporate was a challenge for both for me and those around me. Um, and then since coming out of that, I've had more opportunity to chase down challenges and really, I'd say, execute without the guardrails. So I think within a corporate environment, it's very easy to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to really make a difference, quite a lot of people just want to continue doing their normal job. And so making an impact in a corporate environment is very challenging.
Mm.
So when I jumped over to working with Elance, which subsequently became Upwork, a large freelancer platform,
Mm-hmm.
I had the freedom to operate. I had the freedom to create processes, build product lines, approach companies and say, this is how we're changing the world. And that really excited me.
Mm.
And I saw the potential in the technology that they had, but also the limitations within that product. Unfortunately, they were approaching a public offering at that time. They were heavy into venture capital,
Mm-hmm.
and the VCs wanted their money back. So the opportunity to change the technology stack there was limited. And stupidly, naively, I thought I could do better. What I discovered was I'm really good at starting to dive into challenges and getting an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And giving myself the freedom to do that has meant that I've enjoyed working and also had moderate success.
Mm. And the learning is always important. I always think business owners go on a journey. Certainly my clients all go on journeys and they look at the business from that technical perspective of what they're expert at and how they can make money. But then they start to learn lots of things around marketing and sales and the operational delivery of things and how the business is supported. Looking back across your journey, what would be the biggest learning about business more generally that you encountered?
I think running a business is brutal. It's almost death by a thousand cuts. You go in with confidence that you know what you're going to do
Yeah.
and you know how to do it. And the cold, hard reality is you might know a fraction of what you need within the business. And over time, that confidence gets cut away as you learn all the things you didn't know.
Mm.
And if you're lucky enough, you get to survive those learning experiences to continue another day with more knowledge. So it's not a fun experience running a company.
No.
I think there are times when it's incredibly rewarding.
Yes.
There are times when it's beyond challenging. But at the end of the day, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Mm. So one of these kind of retrospective questions that I like to sort of ask the people on the business spotlight is, let's imagine you could go back to the beginning and you know what you know now, you've got the benefit of hindsight, that bit of advice that you'd give yourself at the start, what would that be?
I'm not sure I'd change anything.
No.
I think so. Advice to my younger self:
Mm.
enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Um, it is a journey. You've got to enjoy all of the aspects of it and not to be too focused on what's happening in the short term,
Mm.
but just have fun doing it.
Mm.
And I think I took early corporate life very seriously in terms of trying to progress, and it was useful. It helped me progress in my career. But would I have got to the same point if I hadn't have done? I don't know.
Mm.
But having fun along the way is something I'd definitely tell myself.
Yeah. And I think business owners who grasp that, for many of them, it's a struggle, but the business owners who grasp the idea that you're still allowed to smile and have a bit of fun, it does make a difference. So let's think about the future then, and just more broadly, business in the round, if you like. What are the main challenges you can see businesses facing as we move forward over the next 2 or 3 years?
I think the next 2 or 3 years are going to be some of the most challenging in terms of change that business and individuals have ever had to experience. I think Formerly Google's Eric Schmidt has said that he expects as AI takes hold, that we will see the level of invention of 500 years worth of invention in a year. We're not quite there yet, but we are starting to see the signs with AI chatbots and with the next wave of technology that's coming, multimodal and some narrow AI implementations, that will change entire careers. They will change entire industries. And people's ability to adapt to that change is going to be very, very key. And I think there will be businesses that struggle, and there will be businesses that throw themselves in and do very well out of it. And so for me, in the next 2 to 3 years, we just want to help as many businesses ride out that wave as possible. I think it's a huge opportunity. Capabilities that exist now are already breathtaking. And the rate of change that we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years is nuts. And it's only getting faster.
So what does that mean? You mentioned potential challenges, but certainly opportunities for you. Where do you see Projekt Rising going in the next couple of years?
I think we're struggling to see more than a year out in terms of technology, in terms of the impact to businesses, and really in terms of our future too. We want to help as many businesses locally as possible to make an impact through AI. And other than that, I don't really think we've got that much of a plan. Which isn't a good thing to say as a business owner, but we're in a nice position where we're working with a lot of companies who are keen to make a change, and there's a huge opportunity around us. So I think it's helping people for the right reasons, and the business side of it will come naturally.
The thing that's just crossed my mind there was, you've got an opportunity for Projekt Rising and for your skills and your ability in that space. And I'm thinking, does that mean that the Projekt Rising as a group of human beings has to get bigger? Or actually, does the technology that you're working with and on mean that you can scale the business up without having to increase the size of the team too much?
I think it's both. I think we've been very fortunate, given our background and grounding in remote freelancing through Upwork, that we've been operating as a very small company in terms of number of employees, but significant reach through our use of global freelancers. And I think more and more we're augmenting that with specific technologies. So it's a combination of AI and human that are delivering on projects. And I think we'll continue. That said, we will reach a point where 3 employees is not enough to run the company. And just in terms of being able to help as many companies as possible, we'll need more hands. So there's a lot that you can do with global talent. There's a lot that you can do with artificial intelligence. But ultimately, people still buy people. So being able to have that connection, that conversation with somebody about their business, if you can do it in person, even better, then you can get to know them, you can see the challenges of the business, and we can help them on a path to use the technology in the best way. But we can't do that all remotely. So we're able to leverage freelancers, we're able to leverage AI, but we still will need more people.
And do you think people are going to be frightened of AI? Is there a sense that, as we looked at the global expansion of network systems and business IT and things like that, there was a strong sense that we needed to protect ourselves from the vulnerabilities that had? What are people afraid of when it comes to AI?
I think as we grew the use of computer components and grew the use of the internet, there was fear around social media, but generally, and protecting of youth and ideals, but generally people embrace the technology change. I think Hollywood has done a fantastic job of scaring people about the potential of AI. There are some films about sensible, appropriate, controlled uses, but the ones that come to mind are generally apocalyptic, end of the world, with Skynet featuring quite heavily. And so I think people, whether jokingly or not, on some level do have a fear of artificial intelligence. But I think also if you look at a specific job type, a specific role, do people have concerns there? Absolutely. We're seeing that within some industries already, where people believe that AI either can or can't do their job and are either definitely scared of it, are working with it, or are oblivious. As I've said earlier, AI is a tool, so it can help amazing people be incredible. It can help people who are ordinary at a particular skill. They're not breaking down barriers, but they can help those people be exceptional too. The people that will be left behind will be the people that don't choose to use the tools. So obviously we're seeing huge changes within the copywriting industry. There's going to be a lot of change this year around video production. But the capabilities are language based. So the old sort of preserve that the creatives will be safest forever and white collar will be safe for a long time. Actually, what's happened is some of the first realistic applications of AI are creative job types, and white collars are certainly not safe. The capability of AI to write code is already very, very impressive. You can talk to a computer and it can write the code for you, providing you know what to ask. And we're seeing the same capability in a limited way within ChatGPT, where it's a good chatbot. People can ask it questions and it will come back with answers. The more specific you are in the ask, the better content you can get out. And the transformers in general across, not Optimus Prime, across Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, they are producing incredibly competent copy. But that copy doesn't have to be copywriter written word. It can also be code. So you can ask one of these language transformers, can you describe a diagram for something or another? Okay, can you convert that to plant UML? And then you can take that code, you can paste it straight into a diagramming tool, and you've got a diagram. You can do the same with 3D modeling. So we've been testing a capability where we ask in natural language for the design of something, and it produces the OpenSCAD code, which is a 3D modeling script. You can paste it into OpenSCAD, and then you've got a 3D model. You can pass that onto a 3D printer. So all of a sudden, using natural language to create something that you wouldn't normally have had the ability to do is becoming a possibility. And that's all from a fundamental understanding of language.
And I don't want to get deeply philosophical in an interview like this, but it still strikes me as, humans are going to be even less sure about what's real and what's true as a result of being surrounded by systems that can create this kind of content. Do you think there's something there about humans being naturally suspicious?
I think yes, and rightly so. I think we can produce a video of this entire conversation now without having it being recorded. And if we can do that, then somebody who was determined to make a deep fake of a political figure, of a company CEO, the capabilities are there. So I think having that, I'm not sure that's real, is a very, very good skill to have. Because if you're not sanity checking, is this real? There is a high potential to be duped by content that's going to be coming out.
That's fascinating, isn't it? Because sometimes in the real world, things move really, really quickly, and as company CEO making a statement could wipe, billions off stock prices before someone's worked out that it is actually fake. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So thinking about the employment environment, if the very small team that exists at the minute, Projekt Rising, as we go forward into this new environment, this environment where there's going to be a lot more AI, what impact, from your perspective as the leader of a company, is that going to have on leadership style?
It's a good question. And I'll pause and look off into the horizon while I contemplate it. I think managing people is always going to be something that's required. The strongest relationships are through collaborative leadership and engagement. Remote, distanced, dictatorial type leadership methods haven't been appropriate for the last 20 years and will continue to not be appropriate. There will be examples where they are working really well in terms of a company's metrics, but generally taking people with you on a journey is always going to be key. So I think if your company's got a vision, if you've got a clear stated direction, and there is belief that you have the ability and capabilities and tools around you and within the organization to achieve that vision, then that's always going to be a good skill to have. So communicating clearly and taking people with you on whatever journey you're going down, I think will be key. And I don't think it matters that some of the cognitive elements will be delivered by AI, because there's still going to be the change management of how do you make people adopt that process or change or technology. And that comes down to people's skills. So the soft skills and empathy will become more and more important, even if we are interacting potentially fully remote.
Yeah, some of the leadership skills are timeless, aren't they? Really, taking people with you on a journey. I could talk about this all afternoon, but we mustn't do that. Is there anything that you want to tell us about what's coming up with Projekt Rising, or anything that you would want to include in the newsletter as part of this discussion, Tim?
I think if anybody within a company has an appetite to learn more about how artificial intelligence could impact them around some of the areas that they could be playing with now to get a good understanding, then send them our way. We'd love to have a chat. Otherwise, if you're not already playing with ChatGPT, do so. It's incredibly powerful, and it's a window into the technology capability of 18 months ago.
Yeah. It wrote a very nice, slightly rude 20th anniversary limerick for my wife, which I won't share on here because that wouldn't be appropriate. But anyway.
You could also have asked Midjourney to produce you an image to go with it, but that wouldn't have been appropriate.
Well, fabulous. Great to talk to you, however briefly, Tim. I really appreciate the time that you've spent with us on Business Spotlight. Thank you, Tim Davies from Projekt Rising.
Thank you, Garry.